Hello. So the second Hardline beta is over. We've had a week to play it, and I guess now it's time for opinions as to what I think of it. Well, I'm gonna put up this warning on the screen, because this video is quite likely to get a bit ranty. This is the second time I've tried recording this narration. The first time just ended up being too much of a rant. So I've gone back, thought about my opinions, thought about my position on Hardline, and I'm doing this again. Right, my opinion on Battlefield Hardline. They should lose the word Battlefield from the title. This isn't a Battlefield game, it's just the next shooter that's using the Frostbite engine. Now I know Battlefield's in the title partly because of the marketing. They've attached Hardline to an existing franchise and that's going to get it more customers. But it's not a Battlefield game. It doesn't feel like Battlefield, it doesn't look like Battlefield, and it doesn't play like Battlefield. So why is it called Battlefield? Now we all know this game has borrowed heavily from Battlefield 4. Under the skin it is predominantly still Battlefield 4. It's the Frostbite 3 engine with the Battlefield 4 code on it. And that's what I find so confusing about Hardline, because in many areas it is worse than Battlefield 4. And the things that are worse are fundamentals to a Battlefield game. The gun models just don't look as good. They look two-dimensional, they look plastic. The character animations don't look as good. There's just something a bit unfinished about them. Then we get to the destruction. Destruction's become a big part of the Battlefield franchise, being able to blow holes in buildings, take out walls, even collapse buildings. That's what we expect from a Battlefield game. In Hardline, you fire an RPG at a wooden building and you get a mark on the wall. It just doesn't make any sense. We know that the Frostbite engine is capable of so much more than we're seeing in this beta. We know it can do decent gun models, we know it can do decent particle effects, and we know it can handle destruction, because we're playing a game that's already doing it. So why can't Hardline? Take a look at the particle effects that we got in the Dust Storm on Operation Dust Bowl. Effectively all we got was blurred vision. Then take a look at the particle effects that we get in Gulf of Oman. Now both dust storms are annoying, but one is clearly better looking than the other. Now the three maps in the beta are actually very good maps. They're well laid out, they're well thought out for the modes that they've been played on. But the problem is that they just don't have the feeling of a Battlefield map. The Heist game mode on Bank Job is particularly good. In fact, Heist looks to be a really good game mode. Hotwire needs a bit of work, because Hotwire becomes worse the more unlocks there are. Once every car has an RPG in the boot and the miniguns are unlocked on the helicopters and the breaching charges are littered across the floor, the mode becomes a lot less fun. But it's not really a problem with the mode, it's a problem with the balance of the game. Little thought seems to have gone into some fundamentals. The breaching charge with the Enforcer. You give an Enforcer 3 breaching charges and you give them the ability to reload them. Surely experience from Battlefield has already told you that this is going to be an extremely bad idea. You can basically get Enforcers spamming the roads with breaching charges. The balance of the gadgets in general in the beta has been pretty poor. The mechanic and the professional have a good range of gadgets, some good fun things to play with, but the operator is sitting there with a med bag, revive paddles, and the ability to self-revive from explosions. It's not exactly thrilling. Combine that with a gun that's now got hideous recoil, and the operator isn't a fun class to play. The Enforcer does get some breaching charges and the ballistic shield to go with his ammo, but they're not inspired choices. The ballistic shield gets used to turn you into a turtle when you're on close range maps with a shotgun. The breaching charges have lost a lot of their usefulness that the C4 has in Battlefield 4. There's no armour to take out with breaching charges, and there's no destruction. You can't take out the walls with a breaching charge because the walls don't fall down. Then we get onto the hot topic of the guns. Now in the comments people are saying, well, you've got the wrong idea. Guns with high recoil is good because it shows skill. Well, it doesn't really, because guns with high recoil just end up being used full auto. if you give a gun a high recoil and a high first shot modifier, it can't burst fire. You can only use them in full auto. Assault rifles are not designed to be close-up full auto weapons. We've got PDWs for that. What the assault rifle should be is the master of mid-range combat. But it can't be the master of mid-range combat if you can't burst fire it. In the final stages of this beta, the M416 and the M16A3 have got an almost identical recoil model to the AKM, a gun that's doing considerably more damage. Pulling your mouse down the mouse mat a bit faster than you were before does not equate to skill. The first shot multiplier, well, that means you've got to aim at their feet with your first shot so that your second, third and fourth shots will take them in the chest. That is not more skillful. Nobody in Battlefield 4 would say, I'm going to take the AEK and the F2000 and use them at medium and long ranges, because that takes more skill. It doesn't take skill, it takes firing off a lot of bullets and being lucky, because those guns just aren't designed for mid-range and long-range combat. They're short-range masters. But both of those guns have better recoil and first shot multiplier stats than the M16A3 and the M416 that we ended the beta with. Now, having said all that, this is just the beta, and the guns may not be released with those stats, but the beta is all we've got to judge the game on, and the impression it gives me is that Hardline is not a polished or finished product. It's a good basis for a product, but it's missing the details and it's missing the balance. Another thing that is slightly concerning me about the release version of the game is the battle packs that you get if you pre-order. So it turns out that guns like the L85A2 are in the pre-order battle packs. I assume these assault rifles were just going to be a free early unlock, but according to Thomas Sazza on the Battlefield Twitter feed, the L85A2 is a pre-order exclusive. Giving exclusive guns to pre-orders seems like a really bad idea to me, because what if one of those guns turns out to be considerably better than the assault rifles in the game? We're giving away battle packs that give you a head start, like the 10 gold battle packs you can get if you buy the digital deluxe version. Well, that's still things that are available in game to everybody, but exclusive guns sounds like a really bad idea to me. Hopefully Visceral will take what they've learnt in the beta, and the final release version of Hardline will be a bit more polished and better balanced. Honestly, I think Visceral have done a lot of good work between the first beta and the second beta, and it would be a real shame if Hardline was brought down by some basic flaws. We'll just have to see what Visceral take from this beta and what we get in March. Thanks for watching.